Welcome back to a new episode of the Shout at the Devils podcast. I'm your host, Justin Brady, and I run Devils Fanatics on Instagram. I'm here with my co-host, Daniel Amoia. He runs devils.report on Instagram, and he writes for the Hockey Writers. And the Devils have found themselves in a 2-0 hole in the first round against the Carolina Hurricanes. That first game, they lost by a score of 4-1. And in game two, they put up a much better effort, but fell short, losing 3-1. So both games, they lose in Carolina's barn and the Devils have a tall hill to climb. Daniel, what are your initial thoughts on the first two games so far?
I feel like it was two completely different stories. Game one was pretty ugly. The Devils just got completely dominated. And it was kind of like, uh-oh, like, do they even have a shot? And then on top of that, all the injury problems. Cody Glass gets taken down by his own teammate, Jacob Markstrom. Thankfully, he was okay. But then you have Luke Hughes and Brendan Dillon, two of your left-handed defensemen, and very important ones at that, go down. They were already down Jonas Siegenthaler, so quite literally all three left-handed D are out. And there's been no update on any of them, so it's not looking good. And given that the Devils were already without Jack Hughes too, I mean, it's just so hard to overcome that. But with that being said, game two, I mean, I genuinely don't think, given the circumstances, the Devils could have played better. And you can even sense that afterwards in their media availabilities. They really laid it all on the line. They did everything they could, and they just simply were overmatched. And that's to be, look, I know people are frustrated. I understand that anyone who's a fan of a team is going to be emotional when their team goes down 2 games to none. But the Devils were down their best offensive defenseman, their best defensive defenseman, their star forward, and more, and really hung with them. And the difference was a shitty bounce on on their own power play that led to a 2-on-1, and Devil Killer Jordan Martinook doing what he always does, scoring that shorthanded goal, and that was a difference. So. I mean, even strength, they basically went toe to toe with a much better team on paper in Carolina, a much deeper team at least. You really can't ask for more than that. It's just unfortunate that the result wasn't on their side. And I mean, Rod Brindamore said it himself, there's no moral victories in the playoffs. You either win or you don't. And that's the case here with the Devils. So it's just unfortunate that they really played as close to perfect of a game as they could have given the circumstances. I mean, even guys like Dennis Cholowski and Simone Nemec played pretty well. Justin Dowling was great in that game. The star guys were creating offense, and Freddie Anderson had to stand on his head completely. So it's just unfortunate, but regardless, down 2 games to none. That's against this Carolina team. That's such a steep hill to climb. It's going to be tough.
It is going to be very tough. That game one, they just totally got outmatched and they needed a response. And they brought that in game two. They got that first goal, which was huge. And that first period, they came out flying. Then they fell a little flat in the second period and then kind of found their game again in the third period. But Freddie Anderson was a brick wall in net for Carolina, stopping everything. Timo Meyer had like four prime scoring opportunities. Obviously, he had that one with like barely over a minute remaining, and the puck bounced over his stick, took a hard bounce. Still considering how much the Devils are paying him, like I'd like him to find a way to bury that. I know it's not easy, but it's little things like that that you look back on series like this, and it's just like it's such a haunting memory. You think about how it was in Game Five of 2023. Timo Meyer missed an open net as well. I'm not blaming Timo or anything like that. It's just like little moments like that. It's just really what comes back to bite you at the end of it. So that really sucked and was unfortunate for the Devils. The big thing for me is the Devils have to play better special teams wise. They haven't been able to score a power play goal. And Daniel, you mentioned it last time that if the Devils are going to have any chance to win this series, they have to take advantage of their power play opportunities. So far in this series, they have zero power play goals. The Carolina Hurricanes have one shorthanded goal. And that one shorthanded goal was that decided the game. That was the game winning goal. And it's really frustrating, especially for me as a Devils fan, to see that happen. And the Devils going forward in this series are going to have to find a way to capitalize on their power play opportunities when they get the chance because they did play better 5-on-5, but they're still not getting that many opportunities offensive wise. And you really have to take advantage of those man advantages when you get them. Daniel, you got to give me a stat real quick.
Well, I was just gonna say, even in game one, like special teams really changed that. If Logan Stankoven doesn't get that power play goal and the Devils didn't score on any of their power plays, even though they were getting outplayed, it still could have been a different game. They still could have maybe found a way to claw it out. I talked to Rod Brindamore, Hurricanes head coach, after the game, and I asked him how important the special teams battle is in this series, and he said, it's been the difference, right? Obviously, it was the huge turning point of the game, and I think it always comes down to it one way or another. It's something we preach all the time. We talk about it a lot. You've got to win that special teams battle because it is so important. And the Devils just haven't done that. And I wrote before the series that even if the Devils slightly win the special teams battle, it might not be good enough with how great Carolina is at even strength. They need to dominate the special teams battle. And not only are they not dominating it, they're not even winning it straight up. And that mixed with Carolina overmatching them at even strength. The goaltending's been great. Jacob Markstrom has been tremendous. You cannot ask for any more than he has given the Devils, and they're still losing games. I mean, he's standing on his head every night. So it's really just like with the injuries, especially, the Devils have to do everything perfectly. And even if they do so, they're going to win a game by maybe a goal or two with an empty net. On paper, they're not set to blow out a team like Carolina. They're going to have to really claw and fight to just even get one win in this series. It's a tough spot they're in.
That's the thing that's unfortunate because, as you said, it feels like they have to be perfect to win these games. Meanwhile, Carolina could have two bad periods and still win that game. Carolina knows how to win better than the Devils. This is their seventh year in a row making it to the dance. They know how to win in the playoffs. They know how to win in these early rounds. The Devils don't know much about that. Carolina finds ways to win games even when they're getting outplayed, outmatched. When the Devils' goaltending is really good. Like they just find these ways, and it's gonna come down to special teams. The Devils are gonna have to find a way to get pucks in the net. And Freddie Anderson has been spectacular this series. Game one, he didn't have much to go against really, but game two, the Devils were swarming him in those first and third periods, and Anderson stood on his head. Credit to him. That's the experience that you get with a guy like Freddie Anderson. He has a lot of playoff experience, and he rose to the occasion. And game three, game four, gotta find a way to get at least 3 goals. That's what it feels like the Devils have to do to get at least 3 goals to feel like they have a chance to win games. Because Carolina is gonna, they're guaranteed to get at least 2 goals. It feels like, despite Markstrom playing spectacular, and I love that you brought up Markstrom. He's been great. Like he's given them a chance, and that's all you can ask for with the Devils. He's been great, and that first game really highlighted how important he was. He was diving, sprawling out, making saves left and right, and that first game could have easily been 8-1 final score. But Markstrom gave the Devils a significant chance. The Devils had a chance to make that a 1 goal game, and Timo Meyer got robbed in the third period by Freddie Anderson, and then the Devils got robbed multiple times in the third period in game two. So Markstrom's doing everything he can. Respect to him. He's doing his thing. Awesome.
Yeah, I asked Pesci about Markstrom after game two, and he said, God, he's the best, such a competitor. I haven't met many people like him, he's our horse. I love that guy to death. I love going to battle with him, and you always know he's going to come up big, which he has these past 2 games. Like, that's a thing. In the locker room, you could almost sense that these players, like, there was no regret. Like, after game one, they were not happy and deservedly so. But it was almost like it was a completely different feeling after game two because it's like we did everything we possibly can. Obviously, they were still frustrated, but like even there was a time Markstrom went up to Nemitz and gave him a fist bump. These guys stepped up in this time that they really, in this occasion, they shouldn't have even been thrown into. Guys like Nemitz, Chalowski, Justin Dowling. It's just so unfortunate for the Devils. It really is. They can, based on that, they can hang with Carolina, but like you said, they have to be essentially perfect. So it's almost like, where do they go from here? How feasible is it for them to come back? Obviously, they did it 2 seasons ago, but I don't know.
When you say that, let's pivot forward. Sheldon Keefe, after game two, said the reward tonight is that now we know we can compete in this series, and they very well can. They're going back to your home barn. You beat the Hurricanes twice this season. So, and Carolina this season has not been good on the road. They were below 500. The Devils have a chance to take. First off, you got to take game three. because the series is not over until the home team loses. Then you could start being like, once it's 3-0, then it's like, all right, it's basically over. But the series is not over. One win on Friday, and it's a 2-1 series. The Devils are one win away from tying it up. That's all it takes for the Devils. And look, they've done it before against the Rangers, and that definitely can help boost their confidence. They know what it takes to come back down 2-0 in a series. The only thing I'm going to say that I'm a little skeptical about with that is the Devils' problems in that series 2 years ago was that they were getting outplayed in a special teams battle. And sometimes something like that is an easy fix. You just have to be better on your penalty kill and take advantage of your power play opportunities. And obviously, they have to do that in this series as well. But the Devils are getting outplayed 5-on-5 for the majority of the series so far. And that's really hard to overcome. It is. And the Devils, they lack talent on their team. And it's not like they're getting out, like they're not, it's not like they're getting out hit. I think they've out hit the Hurricanes something like 100, yeah, 103-72. They're hitting, they're laying the body out there, but also they're sacrificing their offense by doing that. And it's going to be hard to beat Carolina 5-on-5 is a big task. Carolina was the best team 5-on-5 this season, and they're going to have to find a way to do that at home. And I'm optimistic that they can. I feel like they have more of a spark at times when they're home. They could really build off the crowd. I know the fans are going to be energized. The roof is going to blow off the place if they score. They got to feed off that, build off any momentum you gotten from this game, and we'll see what happens. Daniel, do you believe this team has a chance to come down from 2-0 in this series?
I do not believe they have a chance to come back. With that said, I do think they can scratch out maybe a couple games, maybe get it to 6, even 7 in some crazy world. I don't think it's that far fetched. We've seen crazier happen in playoffs in all sports, not just the NHL, but really one step at a time. And that needs to start with game 3. Teams have overcome a 3-0 deficit just 4 out of 211 times in the NHL. The odds are stacked against you. I mean, that's very not realistic. The the hand the Devils have been dealt, the injuries are just decimating. Like you mentioned, the physicalities kind of taking their. I don't think I agree with that. I just think the injuries are taking their offense away. When you're down your best offensive defenseman, you're down your star forward. The Devils didn't have a lot of depth scoring, and to their credit, guys like Eric Halla, Andre Palat have been solid. Even Dawson Mercer has looked solid, but it's still not enough for playoff time. Jesper Bratt and Nico Hischier have been great. They look like they belong in the playoffs, especially Jesper Bratt. I mean, he's been criticized in the past by some people saying he's not playoff ready. He's still getting those opportunities and finding that open ice and making things happen. There's just not much around him and around the team as a whole. I am confident that if the Hughes brothers were healthy, the Devils won game 2. No question. It was just that lack of offense. Like it's quite literally Brat, Hischier, Meyer, and if anyone else chips in at all, it's a huge bonus. Those are the only 3 who are even capable of scoring consistently. Now, that hasn't happened so far. It's not fair to ask just 3 guys to provide all the goal scoring, but so far, Brat and Hischier, that's it. 2 goals in 2 games. That's not going to cut it in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And you just have to feel for them because it's not that the effort hasn't been there. It's a little bit of roster construction. It's a lot of injuries, and just that's a perfect storm of putting them in a really bad spot. So, look, I think it's possible. Like I said, is it likely? Certainly not. But one step at a time. They need to win, and for nothing else, like let's be real, no matter the circumstances, it's embarrassing if you get swept in the first round after you play an 82 game season, work hard just to get there. They need to find a way to get that win in game 3 and give their fans something to cheer about. Be like, look, like we battled, we gave it our all, like we really were a thorn in Carolina's side and didn't go down easily. And I don't think they will go down easily, but just the odds are against them, and no update again today on Brendan Dillon or Luke Hughes. The fact that it seemed to be the head area, I can't say for certain. I'm just speculating here with Brendan Dillon, and that he was eager to come back, but they held him out for precautionary reasons in game 1, and then he didn't play at all in game 2. I mean, that doesn't sound very good. And then Luke Hughes, yes, he came back for 2 shifts of 28 seconds and 36 seconds, but I was watching him on the bench. He was grimacing. He looked very uncomfortable. To me personally, it wasn't a surprise when they ruled him out. And again, no update on him. And even a guy like Siegenthaler, like to eat up those minutes. Not that I mean Brian Dumoulin, another guy who has been excellent. He's been a playoff warrior, blocking pucks, just doing the right thing all the time. I would not be surprised if the Devils brought him back as like a seventh defenseman next year. A veteran who has way more playoff games and has won a Stanley Cup. Some way more playoff games than most of the roster. It's just all unfortunate.
Yep, and it's just unlucky. This team has been very unlucky the last 2 years with injuries. They've been riddled with them. It's just the truth. It sucks, and it's just a next man up mentality. And the defensemen have stepped up. You need some of those bottom six guys to really step up here, chip in offensively. I think the Devils have a chance to make this a series. It starts with one game, and then you go from there. I think they could take both games at home. You win game three, you get even more momentum, and you could win that game four. One reason I'm optimistic, you have something to build off from this game two, which is a really good thing. You know the type of hockey you want to play. It's just a matter of can we finish our chances? Whereas the Rangers series and even the Hurricane series 2 years ago, you were just getting outplayed, outmatched, like you were just getting dominated basically. In all, like maybe like the Rangers ones with special teams, Hurricanes was just simply you were getting outplayed. And it's hard to really get any momentum from losing those two games like 5-1 both times. So that's something that the Devils have going for them. They know what it takes. They know the type of game they want to play. And it's just a matter of executing out there, executing your chances, take advantage when you get the power play opportunities, be strong in the penalty kill, do the little things right, and you have a chance. Feed off the home crowd Friday. The Prudential Center is going to be electric. And look, the series is not over until the home team loses. And I believe this team has a real chance of making this a series again. 2-1. If they get down to 2-1, then 2-2. You're going back to Carolina. You have a lot of momentum. You could possibly steal a game in Raleigh. And they can't afford to lose Friday because obviously, as you said, only four teams have done it in NHL history. And the Devils haven't won 4 games in a row since January of 2023. Maybe that would be the most craziest thing to happen if the Devils did fall down 3-0. Imagine that. But let's hope it doesn't come down to that. Let's hope the Devils find a way to win Friday. And we're back here for our game three review, more happy, more optimistic about the Devils' chances for the rest of the series.
They have to win game three. Maybe there's some miracle that Luke Hughes or Brendan Dillon becomes available and they get a little stronger, but just on paper, I don't see how it's possible for them to climb back in. For pride purposes, they need to win game three. Just forget the series. They need to give the fans something to cheer for. Fans who have been frustrated, they missed out on the playoffs last season, all the injuries, Jack Hughes missing the end of the season 2 years in a row. Fans are getting frustrated, and I understand where the frustration lies. They just need to win.
Yeah, and I understand why the fans are upset, but also keep in mind that the expectations were low heading into the series, considering everything the Devils have battled through this year, considering Carolina's just a plain out better team with much more playoff experience and a better constructed team than them. So, look, if the Devils could take 1 or 2 games, I think that would be a win in my book. But obviously, I want to see them win this series, and it starts with one game. So, looking forward to Friday. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. We appreciate your support as always. Until next time, peace out.